Hi, welcome everybody to another Block by Block episode. In this episode, we're going to talk about blockchain gaming, and it's actually not a hot topic right now. But I want the answer on why it's not a hot topic, because blockchain gaming promised that it would onboard a lot of new users on the blockchain, new game economies, but it never happened. And even with that, there's gamers, traditional gamers, who, if they see blockchain mentioned in a game, they won't touch it at all. So I thought, hey, let's get Chase on a podcast. He knows quite a bit about blockchain gaming, and we're going to have a discussion about why the state of the blockchain gaming is as it is, and if there's hope for the future. So welcome, Chase.
Hey,
I
hey.
think it's best if you intro yourself. How did you end up in blockchain? And what do you like about it in the combination with games?
Yeah. So my background is in analytics and data, but the way I got into crypto and crypto gaming was my first role at Game 7. We were building a World of Warcraft private server with blockchain economy. Don't really want to go into whether that's legal because I don't really think that was the right move. However, I learned a ton. I learned a buttload, and I worked under some really smart people from the actual Web2 gaming industry, and so learning from them about their perspective on chain gaming. Really, it kind of brought me down a little in a good way. Like when someone gets into a topic, they tend to go all in and be kind of annoying, and it was really helpful to have industry vets um, kind of say that doesn't really make sense for games. And then I would push back. And so, yeah, I mean, I started Game 7, and then that was a couple years ago. So 2 to 3 years ago, 3 years ago. So I'm still relatively new compared to a lot of you guys. But in terms of gaming, I mean, blockchain gaming, I feel like you Asian dog ears. So I learned a lot. But yeah, and then now, currently working on just a Web2 game. But I was building a game before I got hired recently with AI, all 100% AI. So we can dive into some of that stuff too. It was going to be a blockchain game. Well, I don't know. We can get into more of that later. But yeah, long story short, lots of AI, lots of blockchain, lots of gaming. Gaming is the constant for me. So whether it's a blockchain game or just a normal game, I'm into gaming, but I am deeply into blockchain as well. So, or Web3, or whatever you want to call it.
Nice. And you were also very deeply in the Farcaster ecosystem, even
Yes.
Farcaster famous.
Yeah, I haven't been on there in a while, ever since Dan left, but I have very fond memories, and I built a lot of good friends there. I learned a lot too. I still think that that model, however it is going to be the future of social. I just probably a reoccurring theme is we're really early still, so we're still figuring that all out. Just because internet, the first Internet Explorer didn't work doesn't mean we didn't have Internet Explorers. It's just that version didn't work, or it wasn't the right time, or whatever. But yeah, love Farcaster, but
Or
yeah,
the company suddenly turned it into a trading app and the whole
yeah,
community was like, we don't want
yeah.
that. Yeah.
That's a very good point. We could dive into any of that stuff too. I have plenty of opinions.
That's for another conversation.
Yeah.
Maybe let's focus on why gaming and blockchain didn't work at all, because there was billions in funding poured into this and also a lot of coins, a lot of retail got invested, a lot of people made some money with these games, but the actual gamers never showed up, or it wasn't never sustainable, especially not the token economies. So what part is fair that blockchain gaming has not worked at all, and do we want to write it off? And what part, what totally misses the bigger picture here? Is that
Yeah.
just being too early? I don't think
Yeah.
so.
So I think there's a lot of things. And so take everything with a grain of salt, but overall, when you make a blockchain based game, it implies that it's a MMO, that it's multiplayer. Because in my opinion, the best way that games and blockchain work together is with an economy, and an economy implies multiplayer. Those are the harder games to build. And so you're on hard mode. Not only are you on hard mode doing multiplayer game, but blockchain in itself increases the difficulty. This is like a new experimentation, new place of research, and there's no standards really in terms of tokenomics or economy design. And then also like with that, there's very, very, very few actual game designers in Web3. And so you have this incredibly difficult problem where you're essentially designing an economy from scratch without people who design economies in games. And so it's it's like a classic like going hard mode with no experience, right? And I'm not like dunking on any of the studios or anything. It's just that's the nature. Like many designers and developers that got into crypto did it because maybe they were out of a job or the pay was good, but like it wasn't. It's really hard to get those people to actually want to build. And I'm speaking in general. I'm not saying there aren't people. Like there's me, there's tons of other great people. But I'm saying if you compare Web 2 game design versus Web 3 game design, it's like very small. Like you're not, the talent pool is very small. So I think that that's like my take on like why it's not really working. Like one reason is just flat out it's incredibly difficult. Like it's hard mode and you have hard mode with inexperienced people. And I don't know. We can dive into any of that, or I can keep going. Also, you also have like it seems like the VC world like loves to like pump like they focus on like the token because that's how they're gonna make their money. I don't really see anything wrong with having a token in the game. Again, like you mentioned, like sustainable tokens, a lot of the time it was just simply paying players to play and you just get a bunch of farmers, not actual gamers. And like, I think that there's ways you can solve that. And I feel like I did in like a small game that I built, but it hasn't been tested with millions of players. But yeah, I mean, there's just a lot. Um, and like if I could say in one sentence, it's we're trying to build the hardest games with the least amount of experience and then shoving a ton of money into these studios and expecting great things when yeah, it's there's a lot. There's just a lot. So I don't know if you want to dive deeper into any of those points or keep going to something else, but that's my
No,
take on like why it hasn't really taken off yet.
yeah, yeah, and if I can reflect on that, the tokenomics part and the token economy part, I think that was a very interesting point for these games, where now it becomes maybe more financial. But one key thing in games is that if you have a token economy, you're like constantly optimizing it.
Hmm.
And also changing it, like every new item or every new like quest or map you add adds more complexity to that, but it changes the token economy. And
Hmm.
in general, funny enough, we haven't seen a lot of tokenomics changes or people being very flexible with that. And I think that's one of the mismatches of like crypto, like those like tokenomics and what
Hmm.
actually an economy in a game should be.
Yeah. Yeah, like so one like for tokenomics, like one big thing is like the studios just they have like their allocations and they just pay people to play based off of that. But in my opinion, there needs to be something more sustainable that's like revenue based. And so like a very simple solution that I had, but you could kind of like take it is like it's like so like in a very simple like Web3 game that I made, I put a bunch of tokens in the LP pool, and that was for the players only. And a percentage went into loot, a percentage went to leaderboards, but it was sustainable in the sense that I never had to give out money. It came from quote unquote like revenue, if you call like the fees revenue. And I think that that type of model where players actually earn a percent of revenue of the game makes sense because one you earn by just playing and you're not like and it doesn't need to be a lot but you're earning some tokens by just playing and it's sustainable in the sense that it's revenue and it's not relying on people buying the token to play like it doesn't matter if people buy the token for it to be successful you are earning no matter what I think that's one thing that more games could probably do, and I think some are doing. I think Gigaverse Like there's different models, but like overall, I think that's one thing. And then another is like the best case studies are other like existing MMOs. These games weren't designed for Web3, but they're the best we have. They all have black markets for gold or the currency. All of them. Every single one. And you could argue all you want that these games are not pay to win, but there's an economy and there always has been. Ever since World of Warcraft launched, there were gold farmers selling gold. And so it is pay to win. I think that that is a point that needs to, I don't know, has to be presented in the right way to gamers. We had the Diablo 3 had a real money marketplace. It shut down because it was too pay to win, but the economy wasn't designed like an MMO. It was designed as a Diablo game. There's lots of like things that you have to get into, like taking things out of the economy. So like soulbind, like you could soulbind on Ethereum or however you want, whatever it's called in Solana, I forget. Um, you need to take items out of the economy. You need to, uh, in World of Warcraft, you repair your items. Perhaps repairing is burning tokens. There's a lot of like things like that that an MMO designer would know, because otherwise you could just get like insane deflation. Like if you just keep pumping items into the world without bringing them out, then the items become useless and players don't want to hold them. That, I mean, and that's related to tokenomics. I'm not sure what we're defining tokenomics as, but like economy design maybe is a better word. Like there's a lot of things like that for the most part are completely ignored by games. They don't really think about they they don't really think about items and balancing and like how to have items come in and out of the economy so that the economy is, I don't know, doesn't like deflate in value, or like I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm trying to say, but like overall it's super basic what people do. They put a token in there and then they say you can have extra powers if you hold the token. That's super, like that's blatantly pay to win. And okay, here's a note. Here's a really cool thing that I learned in Game 7. And I think the way that you beat the pay to win argument is it's different when you are paying the game for power versus you are buying an item from another player. If instead of offering 10% damage if you buy something from the store, like from the game, what if you use that same money to buy an item that was crafted by another player? And then the game maybe takes a 5% fee on the trade. So the the it's less pay to win because it's player to player. The player is earning money and you are earning power. And that is how it works like in MMOs. When you but what a lot of Web3 games do is just pay the game for this power, and that's like blatantly pay to win. Where when it's player to player, it's different. It's an actual economy. I'm not like, I don't know. I don't know. Those are some of my thoughts. I know I'm rambling a little bit, so we can go to a different question or dive into these. But like overall economy design is super basic, and at the same time is the most important thing for a Web3 game.
Yeah.
So like I think that like that's kind of like leading into like the problems of Web3 is the economy design is so important, yet the economy is like, it's not sustainable. It's not designed properly. But yeah, again, I don't want to rip on all these games. Everyone's experimenting and learning. But like overall, I feel like that's my personal diagnosis of what's going on. But
And I feel this is not only like Web3 gaming problem. Like in general, this space has been very bad at building sustainable tokenomics. There's always way too much incentives without the proper revenue model or the
yeah,
proper token sinks, which is like that destruction of goods on the other end. So like somehow balancing that. And I think that just reflects on these economies.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
And it's like, it's hard because what you're doing with blockchain is essentially creating a new country and designing its economy. Like, trading is very important in an economy, and that is like, you know, I don't think we need like too much more, like, I don't know. Of course, like we need more innovation, but like that's not the thing we need to focus on. Like you said, it's the incentives and the sustainability of these things. It's like if you were to start a new country and then ask the United States for a loan, and then you just pay out universal basic income to everyone without having income for the country. And that's what people are essentially doing in crypto, and saying like we're a new country, except we have all this money from, I don't know. I'm just saying United States because I'm American, but like um, we have a huge loan from them and we're paying them out. What happens when the money runs out? Like that's like all crypto is, and it's like pretty funny because it's like, okay, we need to design an entire economy, not just give people money.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then there's the question about like how does a normal game make money, right? Like people think the game is so much fun they want to spend money on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like either a good story, just a fun game to play. It's maybe items they want to show off, especially in
Mm-hmm.
these MMOs. So there needs to be something worth spending money on, and then the game basically starts generating revenue. And I think that's like the kickstart for um, a good game economy, and then you might be
Yeah.
able to like
Yeah.
throw in a token or
Yeah.
a player to player economy, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's so. If you look at the history of like MMOs that came out after World of Warcraft, like the success rate is extremely low, and they spend like hundreds of millions of dollars on these games, even if they fail. And so it's like the success rate for an MMO, even with MMO vets, is very low. And then people are trying to do it with crypto on top. And so it's just hard. And like what you're saying, you need to have a good game to attract people to even want to spend money. Well, you can't like design an MMO without the token. It has to be integrated deeply from the get-go, but like you can't like but the game has to be good, like you're saying. Like I think a good benchmark would be if it wasn't crypto related, would you play this? And most of the time it's no. Well, I like there's I also see other argument of like, you know, so I don't know. Another tangent that's coming up is like where there is opportunity though, crypto is a good place for to build as a new designer or game developer because the bar is low. Like, yes, I'm ripping on the entire industry, but at the same time, it is like a really cool space if you're just getting started because the bar is low and people will are more likely to play because the crypto element does like there is an aspect that is interesting about it, even if the game itself isn't entirely polished. Like you see, most crypto games are like pixel art, and there are a lot of like successful pixel art games, but like in general, I believe it's because it's easier and like cheaper, and it doesn't require as much design work, and you can just kind of get it up there. Like the first game that I kind of like studied a little bit was like Pixels. I think like a counter argument to saying the game needs to be good for there to be players is like it is if you are able to offer an interesting economy, I think it I think there is some like leeway where because like you're in like this new space, like this new mental model of like what is gaming, and so you're a little bit more lenient with like if you had like a good economy and the game wasn't that good, it'd still be interesting to play to feel what it feels like when you are buying and selling things for real money. But I don't know. That's just like I don't know. It's just a thought because like I don't. It's confusing. I'm being confusing, but like there is a part of me that I still think there's an opportunity for small studios that are self-funded, like using their own money to like, build some games in this space. I just don't know like the whole VC route. I don't know. It's like the successful games right now seem to be the ones that started grassroots and then they make connections grow their player base a little bit to where they're able to talk to, Ronan, right? And then maybe start integrating and then start doing some raising. But like it seems like the most successful, maybe in just like not just gaming, but like in general, seems to be like with AI, like build something, get some users. Once you have those users, then you can do the VC thing,
Yeah.
if you want.
Because
I don't know.
AI like lowered that bar too.
Yeah.
So that's I think it will be more like almost solo founder or like small team driven because they can ship faster, test faster if this works with like less costs. Like they don't have to
hmm
hire a full game studio to try an idea out, right?
Yeah, and I think like I think that seems to be the way that this is going to work out is a grassroots team figures out an economic model that works that an actual team can then study and say this works, we're going to make a good game around this model, which is like well, that's what like World of Warcraft did with EverQuest. They just basically copied EverQuest and made World like a Warcraft version of EverQuest. I think it might come like be something similar to that where it'll require a small team to become extremely successful, and then studio with more like game design chops will come in and make something very similar but just more polished. That's how I don't know. That's like a prediction of like where we'll see like an actual like breakout game, but I think there's still a lot of time, and there's still a lot of time to experiment. There's even the most successful crypto games are still like not good. Like, again, I'm not like trying to rip on, like, I'm just talking purely from a game, like a video game standpoint. They're like objectively not that good, but I don't know. Again, like, but the bar is lower in crypto because it's harder with blockchain, and like, I'm still optimistic. Like, to be very clear, I'm very optimistic on blockchain gaming. I'm just trying to speak on the current and past failures and like what to learn from and like move from and build off of, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think it would that's always been my idea. Like we are trying to fit this model into existing games or
Mm-hmm.
existing successful games.
Yeah.
And I copy it and then it never works. But you suddenly have a new piece of technology that will enable various new modes. Like you can
Mm-hmm.
actually play with real money. You can
Mm-hmm.
actually do a transaction, which in a lot of cases some games actually close down like these B2B marketplaces because there was like too
Yeah.
much scamming and stuff going on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
So there's still like game elements that can be very interesting to add to your game or have like vital to your game. But I think that hasn't been really figured out because we're looking at past successful games.
Yeah, I think you're hinting at like the argument of like, do you design it for Web3 people or Web2 people?
Yeah.
And I go back and forth, to be honest. My current like thought is like, if you're building a crypto game, build it for crypto people because the bar is lower and they're more willing to test out new technology. They're okay with AI. Like that's also a huge thing is like many people, and like I think this will change over time, but right now a lot of people hate AI assets, AI coding. Like they if it's in your game, they won't play it. Like it's like irrational, but like I I don't know. And so, but in crypto, they're way more accepting. And so, if you're a small team that's using AI generated assets, it's way more acceptable in the crypto sphere than if you were to try to publish it on Steam. You would have to say, like, you would even have to put a tag on Steam, like, this is AI generated assets. And then people are just going to filter that out. And so, currently, my thought is built for crypto people because also, like, just even like, I don't know. I don't know, but at the same time, like in a perfect world, you're designing it for Web 2 in the sense that like it's all abstracted away in blockchain. Because like blockchain's a back end technology. Like when you play a game, they're not advertising, hey, we're using Postgres and Redis for our game. And people are like, I what? Like, what does that even mean? I don't care. And like, I think that's like what crypto does is they advertise their back end like tech as like the selling thing. Like, we're on Ronin, we're on Solana, we're on Base, and it's like, no one cares. Like the actual gamers really could not care less.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. Again, like I'm like contradicting myself a little bit, but like I don't. It's just super nuanced. Like there's bits and pieces from each side, and it's really hard to say like do this because it's just I don't know. The exciting part is that we're still in like an exploration phase. Like we're not in a place that this is how you do it. We're in a place of I have no idea. Let's try this, and it's probably gonna fail. But like to me, that's interesting, and like I'm obsessed with it, and I love this stuff. But in terms of if you're trying to like actually make money, it's a risky bet. It's a very risky bet. So if anything, it's flat out a bad idea if you're trying to make money. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
just
Um,
yeah. Go ahead.
and the result of this is basically like we tried giving players a wallet, say to them like, oh, this is self custody and self ownership and it's great for you, but they just didn't care.
Yeah.
Because it's like a digital asset in a lot of ways, it is not interesting. Only when
Mm-hmm.
it really becomes valuable, then that becomes interesting to them. But before that happens, I think your game needs to be valuable, your community needs to be valuable, and there needs to be enough traction. But then the other thing about this is, as you said, like some players don't want AI. That also was very true for blockchain. That if you told them there's like blockchain
Yeah.
technology in here,
Same thing. Yeah.
the hardcore gamers or like a lot of gamers would say like, no, we don't want to touch this because it's like highly financialized and we just don't care. How can we overcome that? Because you still want a massive player base and you still want to expand. Well, you can still build a game for crypto people, but I think if you start abstracting away, it hopefully
Yeah.
opens up the target group. But
Yeah.
what needs to be done to properly target them again and maybe even change the ship or like just basically their opinion to actually have them touch the game?
Yeah, the new Eve game that's coming out is probably a good thing to study. You know, it's all abstracted away. You do have like a vault with your tokens and stuff, but yeah, I mean you're not signing transactions. It's an embedded wallet. You know, you can transfer it out of that wallet, but it's you know the wallet's within the game kind of controls it and makes transactions on your behalf. I think that's the right move. Again, this is all back end tech. Like, why are we putting back end tech in the front end? Like it doesn't make sense to me. And so like that's the direction personally I believe is abstracting. And I think it related you know, a lot of the early hype was around like owning your own things. I half agree. So like your NFTs and all of that are only going to be valuable within your game. It's not like you're going to get a sword in one game and use it in another. That's like another discussion, but that's like more like metaversey, right? Like that's like but that's in my opinion that's not a game. A game is like a closed ecosystem where things are valuable within that ecosystem. And so like yeah, so like the embedded like so like people are like if you don't own the keys like they're not yours, but like within a game I don't think that's like true. Like I don't think people care about that at all in like a game. And yeah, so like no signing transactions. You can have access to your private keys if you want, but like that game wallet should only probably be used for like that game. Like you're probably not using it for anything else. And if you want to transfer out, you can. But like and then like so yeah, I again I think it comes down to pushing the back end tech back to the back end, abstracting it all away. Um People will like quote unquote own their assets, but like they don't need to own it in the sense that like I don't know, it's in your wallet. Like that's cool. Like that's you own it and you can trade it for real money and you can transfer your tokens out if you want. The whole like the assets being valuable outside of the game, I don't think is something that people care about or makes sense really in like the context of games. Yeah, the boring answer is like make like a good game. Uh, like that's truly and like I think that like it has to be there's two types of like games that crypto will work with in my opinion. It's like an MMO where there's like people crafting items, selling items, whatever. Or there's like Counter-Strike where like you just have skins that are tradable. Um, that's like a lighter use of blockchain. It's just faster, quicker, and just like cheaper to like transact. But like, I mean, that's pretty simple. It's like skins, like a skin marketplace. But that's less interesting to me. I'm more interested in the MMO stuff because I feel like kind of one of the reasons I most find crypto gaming interesting is because I do think that it is like the seed of whatever we'll call a metaverse like future where let me take a step back. Like the thing that gets people to MMOs is the concept that there's a persistent world that is living, and nothing is more persistent than on chain, right? Like if you could somehow put a game on chain, and I'm talking everything, it is like this persistent world that is shared and no one can shut it off. That is cool. That is a cool fantasy, and I think we'll get there eventually, but very early. But like that's why I love and like and then that is like the foundation for kind of like using assets. I don't know, I'm gonna sound like a spaz, but like if you were to like think of like what if GTA 6 was fully on chain and had just people living in this world participating and freely trading, like there's there's something more than an MMO there. It almost becomes like you could potentially really just make a living playing this game. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if that's considered metaversy, but like that concept, that like fantasy of being able to play an MMO and like legit like have like another source of income by playing a game that you genuinely enjoy is a fantasy that I think a lot of people have or don't realize that they have. If I could play World of Warcraft, I still play it to this day, and just casually play and earn like an extra 100 to 200 bucks a month just by like finding some rare items every once in a while. That's sweet. Like that's awesome. And then there's always like the people who are super into it that like are super into the auction house and that make like millions of gold. Those people could potentially be the 1% that like have an like a sustainable like livable income from this. And that's interesting, but yeah, I don't think it's going to be like everyone makes like a income like a livable income off of these things, but the top 1 to 5% might. But that's still cool. Like, and that's still that exists right now with like streamers,
Yeah.
people who make depending on the mod, like some mods
And
and like
esports does it too.
esports
Yeah.
and those things. This is a great tangent. Those are all things that I think would greatly benefit from blockchain gaming. Streaming, you could like on-chain verify perhaps the users that you were bringing to the game and have a, automated revenue stream based off of that. you know for mods, you can, the data and all that stuff is on-chain. You can easily build. You don't have to ask for like APIs and stuff and get like permission. You can just build mods that, let's say, that have like, if they reach a certain user threshold or whatever, you get like a percent of the company's revenue or something. And then like I think those all all those aspects will benefit greatly from blockchain. Right now they're separate. Like it's Twitch, YouTube, whatever, streaming, and like that's not connected to the game. Like it is, but it's like completely separate. There's Twitch and there's World of Warcraft. There's no like Twitch API that like, but like you could build something like that pretty easily. Like, and maybe that isn't even a blockchain thing, but I'm just thinking like if there's like open data that you can connect to and verify that these people brought these many players and viewers to the game, I feel like that is like an interesting thing. Like, I don't know, like referral codes, but on chain.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm spazzing a little bit, but like these are just some things that I think like we haven't even really thought of yet. Like we haven't even really experimented with, and I think blockchain could like genuinely help with. Uh, but again, like I don't know. Maybe that's just 5 years in the future.
And this would enable different game mechanisms, right? Like somebody has to generate attention for the game, has to get people in, but
Mm-hmm.
those people that come in don't want to be just abused for somebody's own benefit. So there
Yeah.
needs to be something in for them, like, hey, use this ref link, you get this cool new item, or you'll join this person's crew
Yeah.
some benefits, some social elements, and then it's traceable because it's on chain and they
Yeah.
used that person's wallet, and automatically that person gets like a
And
payout or over, and especially over time. I think a lot of this should be rewarding over time, and
yeah.
that's what a blockchain mechanism could do, right? Like this player got in because of you, and this player is still active and spending money, so you still benefit from it.
Yeah.
And yeah, we can see
Yeah.
that.
I think a lot of it comes down to like splitting revenue with the community and players, and I think that blockchain enables that because micropayments, like you're not going to go to Stripe and pay out 50 cents 10,000 times. Like, blockchain, you could do that like way easier. And I think that like in like micropayments, like small and like coming back to like you said esports, like that I feel like is a very clear, really cool application for blockchain of like tournaments. Like you don't have to, like, there are tournaments running all the time and there are prize pools based off of, again, like I don't know, like company revenue plus buy-ins plus whatever. But like what if like the esports ecosystem didn't require the company to run? It was just on the game and payouts were automated, and you duels to the death for money or whatever, like just or like competitive, like if you reach a certain rank, you qualify for payments, just like any other social media. You have to reach like a certain threshold, and then you've proven yourself. You're now eligible for payouts. So maybe every week, depending on your rank, you get a payout. And then on top of that, compounding how many people viewed your games via streaming. Like, I think there's a lot of cool things like that where like right now they're very separate, and I think that there could be some really cool like on-chain like integrations where like, again, like I don't need to stream on Twitch. I don't know how it'll work, but like that's how I like envision these like on-chain MMOs. Yeah, I think overall, like I think it'd be really fun and cool, genuinely, if the game was good, to like have these like systems and ecosystems. Like there's ecosystems within the game, but then there's ecosystems out of the game in the sense of like, I don't know, again, modding, streaming, esports. Like I guess it's all in game and out of game, but it becomes more blurred. Like it's like it's like intertwined, and I don't know. That's exciting, and I think it's like genuinely a interesting thing. But it like, again, like this is hard mode. Like these are things that haven't been done, haven't been explored. Probably tons of scams and tons of like things to work out in like the crypto culture, like, but like I do, I can see through the negative as to like what it could become, and that's why like I'm still into it. Like I still like think um, there's a lot of interesting things to be done. I don't know. We're just kind of early. I don't know. We'll get there.
Yeah. So let's say 3 years later, somebody cracked this.
Mm-hmm.
What elements are they winning on, and why did it capture like the public's attention? Is that outside of Web3? Like, did they somehow convince those Web2 players? Like, how do you
Hmm.
think this will look like if somebody makes it work?
Hmm. Think it's gotta be like, I think it's gotta look something like grassroots that grows into something that becomes viral. I think that it will take a lot of, the reason I say grassroots is because I think even today, to onboard someone that's never used crypto is a very manual process. And ideally, the game is abstracted enough to where you don't really need to do that. However, I think it'll require a lot of the community members to onboard their friends and like them to say, well, what game are you playing these days? Oh, I've been playing this. Interesting. What is, like, oh, it's an MMO. Well, cool. What kind of MMO? Yeah, it's like a fantasy thing. I actually made like $1,000 last month. How? I just found like a legendary weapon. I didn't really need it because it wasn't for my class. I sold it, got $1,000. And I think like, yeah, that's financial, but like if they like check it out and see the game and like, well, this is actually a genuinely good game. This is a crypto game? And they're like, yeah. And they're like, okay. Well, yeah, I don't know. Like I think it'll kind of go like that. and that's not like super like something that you can like that like advertising will do. Like it's not like something that like it's super like manual. Like it's like you're an evangelist. Like you need to like onboard your friends by them seeing you play this game or hearing about it, 20 times before they give it a try. But that's like specifically for like the first breakout maybe, and like maybe people start talking about it. It gets out of the crypto Twitter bubble. Probably lots of divisive things. People probably hate it, but like I don't know. That's my best guess. I don't know. I'm not like a prophet. Yeah,
But you
it's
are
hard.
a game builder. So what like are you building right now? And does it have the same things in mind? Like the
Yeah.
solo builder, you just tinker with like small ideas
Hmm.
and then you hope some game studio will do better, or yeah, are any of these ideas like in your own game right now?
Yeah. So again, not to be a buzzkill, I did stop building my game because I joined an indie studio like a month ago. But what I was building was it was a Web3 MMO. The logic was not on chain, so I think it's still too early for that, at least for like an MMO that I would want to play. And I think like I feel like the simplest and coolest thing is to simply have all of your items be NFTs, and to have an in-game token. That one's very debatable and hot topic, but an in-game token as a currency, and then an in-game marketplace to trade those things, and some crafting as well. But like, I think that gets you 80% of the way to like a game that like is well designed, and like that's just me like patting myself on the back. But and I also had like the LP tokens, and then like the fees flowed into the game automatically, so I had like a leaderboard. So if you did certain things, you got a proportional reward each week depending on where you placed on the leaderboard, and that was automatic. And then there like for the revenue, like you're essentially creating like an open sea in your game, and using the same revenue model for that, um, of just like taking like 5 to 10% of the trades, but and then those like that revenue also loops back into like these reward pools. But I didn't start building like a PvP thing yet with like buy-ins and tournaments. But that would have been really sweet. And then what else? I mean, that's mostly it. I was doing all AI generated um assets. So like I don't know, but like that's like kind of off topic. But so I think like in terms of what I was building, I of course think it was cool, and I think it would work. I think another big problem that isn't just for gaming is like it also is highly dependent on how big your following is. I have like 1,000 followers, and I can see people with 50,000 plus followers, 300, publishing like really crappy games and having tons of users. And, that is something that I was like, have had to be real with myself. Like, but I would still be building it if I didn't get this other job, just because it's worth building to learn how complicated it is and learn how many systems it actually requires for something like this to be built. And you're going to be surprised at how complex and how hard and how difficult it is. And that is like one thing, like, yeah, sure, I spent like $5,000 in tokens over like, 6 months or whatever. That was worth, in my mind, I was paying for education. I was paying for like tactically like which chains are good to build on, which like how does I think something we could talk about is like the indexing of like these items, and like how awkward that is. It's so awkward. It doesn't like feel good yet. And there's like but like all those are super important. Like if like in the future I'm going to join another Web3 studio, like I learned so much, and I recommend I'm not saying spend $5,000. If you have it, go for it. But like going and trying to build a Web3 game is really important if you're interested in this space. You can do it now with AI. and just to get a feel for like, okay, this is hard mode. Like, and this isn't just a game. Like, this is an economy. And it really, for people like me, it makes me spaz and I like it. But it might turn some people off. But I don't know.
And
I don't really have a point. I'm rambling again. But
and we need those people to get to those like solo small teams to just like, I just want to learn this. I just want to figure this out. I'll make
yeah,
it work. And I think that's the cool thing with AI enabling all of this. Like those people suddenly have the tools at hand that if they ignore like AI critics and the users that wouldn't come if it's AI, like no, you just build it and then prove that you can do something or not and learn some
yeah,
cool stuff.
yeah. I think AI is awesome in that sense. And like, I think probably don't have to convince anyone that would be listening to this. They're probably AI people too. But like, it's 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 objectively wrong to say that you can't build something solo. Like you can now. I think, yeah, it's now like, is it good? Do you have taste? Do you know how to market? Have you grown your following over the years? Which are now like people are realizing. So now building's the easy part. Well, quote unquote easy part. Now I need to like sell it, right? Like, and that's like a whole nother beast of like, you can't just ask Claude to like give you 10,000 followers. And yeah, I don't know. Um, but yeah, I don't know.
Which is super cool because it actually puts a lot of like a if you build with it and then now you have some cool products that's so you figure out the technical part with AI, but you have to still figure out the social part, like how to get users, how to get attention, how to get maybe investments to build this thing out or further, which is deeply human. So I've been always like, my opinion has always been AI helps us to be actually more human, and people are afraid it strips it out,
It's a
but I
good point.
think we could focus there.
Yeah. No, that's a really good. I really like that actually. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm just digesting that. Like someone like me, like I'm quasi technical. I'm from data analytics, so like I know SQL, and that's not like I can't really build anything with that. Like as like a in like a game design mindset, it's beautiful. I can say I want this spell to ricochet off of enemies and explode on the final third hit, right? And then it just builds it. And so you're human. You're saying like, I want this. I have no idea how to make it, but I know the design and I know what will be fun, which is like very human. Like you're going. I'm now thinking about, instead of how to build this, I'm thinking about what is fun, and that's beautiful for someone in my position where all of my time now is thinking like, what will people like? Is this UI good? Like, how do I like this? And yeah, I don't know, if someone's not using AI and you're listening to this, like, even if you think that you like know nothing, like you just talk English, like you just speak as if you're speaking to me or Dennis or whoever, like you just talk normal and you can build these things and be able to be creative, which is like the ultimate form of being human, is being creative and like having fun and like building stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I like that. Um, but yeah, yeah.
Awesome. I think that's a good message to end on. So maybe like if people want to, help increase your following in case you build another game, how can they reach out to you?
Yeah. On X, I am Summer Chase, Sommer Chase, and then YouTube Chase Summer, no spaces, and then yeah, that's basically it. Just X and YouTube, and then my DMs are always open, and I'm always responsive. I try to be. I mean, I guess maybe it's a function of having a small following, but I do. I'm I do Google Meets with random people on the internet all the time just to meet them. So if you're interested in this stuff, want to just talk about games, blockchain, whatever, AI stuff, I'm happy to. But yeah, that's where you can find me. Summer Chase on X.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you. Already am following you. So I'll keep responding, and if I have any good ideas on AI or gaming, or I'll give you a shout. So yeah, thank you, Chase, for coming on. This was another Block by Block episode. Thank you all for listening.
Thanks for having me.